Brilliant. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our presentation this evening. We're really excited to have you attend, and thank you very much for giving up your spare time to learn a bit more about Irwin Mitchell, but specifically our business services group. My name is Rebecca. I'm head of early careers here at Irwin Mitchell. We're really excited to be able to speak to you this evening. Um, Hopefully you know what you've all signed up for, but today's session is all about our business services group, and you'll find out a lot more about it than what I'm going to tell you now. But essentially, it offers corporate and commercial advice to business clients across the UK, based in 6 locations. I am joined today by quite a few different people from the business services group, solicitors, trainees from our key departments and across different locations. They are going to be able to talk to you a lot more in depth about what they do, who they work for, and crucially, what work you could be doing as a trainee here at Irwin Mitchell, which I think is, the most important part. There's always a bit of a mystery around what is exactly a trainee does. So we've got some trainees here to kind of bring that to life for you. So if we go to the next slide, I'm going to talk to you about Irwin Mitchell as a whole. Thanks, Libby. Thank you. So, first things first, we are super proud to say that we have raised over £3 million through charitable donations. It's something that we're really proud of at Irwin Mitchell and we take really seriously. We are also signatories to the Legal Sustainability Alliance Renewables Initiative. We have reached Disability Confident Leader Level 3 and work with Even Break, who can assist candidates with a disability into the world of work, which is really important. We're a signatory to the Business in the Community Race Charter, Work Charter. We're ranked 57th currently in the Social Mobility Index, and we work with Prime in our local community schools to help improve access to all. And we do all of this to ensure that we're a responsible business in regards to our communities and to widen access to the profession as well. As a trainee, it's really important that you do get involved in things like this. We're all allocated volunteering hours as employees at Irwin Mitchell. And you can use those hours as you wish, whether it's a charity, doing events at schools, universities, etc. In terms of the brand Irwin Mitchell, we are what you'd probably call a super brand within the legal sector. We are one of the largest full service law firms in the UK, and we really are full service, as uniquely we do offer legal services to both individuals and, as you'll learn more of today, to businesses. We are based in the UK but have a global reach. We support clients based abroad who need legal expertise in the UK, and those that are based here but might need a guiding hand across different jurisdictions. And we do this as part of a collaboration of 80 law firms called First Law International. We have a leading private personal injury and medical negligence practice in the UK. We have one of the largest family law teams of a full service law firm. We're the second largest firm for private client work in the UK, and we have award-winning court of protection and public law teams. And onto our business services group, which, like I've said, you will hear a lot more about this evening, is a thriving £60 million business with around 350 colleagues in it, and it services all the legal needs of the mid-corporate community. And we help clients manage risks and protect their commercial interests. And many of its 14 teams are award-winning and all led by recognised specialists in their field, some of which are on the call tonight. So I'm really hoping that'll be brought to life as we go through the presentation. And then finally, on to our clients, we have helped over 1 million clients, and it goes back to us being this full service law firm. We can help our clients with whatever problem they're facing, and there's a great opportunity to collaborate across teams to better serve our clients. So as I've mentioned today, we are very much focusing on the legal services for businesses. So I'm going to now pass over to Sarah Birkbeck to introduce herself and dive a bit deeper into the teams we have here at Irwin Mitchell. So thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Rebecca. Good evening, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here tonight with you. My name is Sarah Birkbeck. So I've been with Owen Mitchell for about 13 years. My background is in intellectual property litigation and in reputation management, so defamation, breach of confidence, and that sort of thing. I grew up in Luxembourg, where we all speak 4 or 5 languages. Luxembourgish isn't used very much outside of Luxembourg, but it's still quite interesting and useful when you're there. But I do use French and German sometimes in the course of my job. So I went to Southampton University and I did my LPC at Guildford, and I trained with a large regional law firm. I have a national role here at Owen Mitchell in BSG. So I work across all of our BSG offices as needed, supporting our senior leadership team. I work with our early careers colleagues and I work closely with HR and early careers team and other business support functions, and really with a primary goal of ensuring that we have a highly functioning cohort of junior lawyers who are busy and whose careers are supported and developed here at IM. Now on the screen, you'll see that we have 14 different departments here in BSG, and you've got the names of those departments, and you've also got the names of the people who lead those departments. And as Rebecca said, those are leaders in their field, recognised lawyers. And as trainees, this would be where you would spend the duration of your training contract here with us, moving around some of these teams. Now, we have key strength and depth across all key business legal services. There's actually very little that we can't do for our business clients. So we have a range of transactional and litigious offerings. And what that means is we solve both business as usual type issues for our clients, like helping them with lease renewals or maybe drafting their commercial contracts for them. And we also deal with distress issues, as we call them. So that might be a trademark dispute in my world, or perhaps a shareholder dispute, or it might be helping senior executives bring or defend civil actions or defend criminal actions that are brought against them. So BSG supports businesses throughout their life cycle. So from startup, from all aspects of day-to-day trading, growth, restructuring and reorganization, through to owner exit or sale. So our clients rely on our multidisciplinary expertise and advice in all aspects of their business life. And we expect our lawyers, including our trainees, to be very commercially aware. So whether they're looking at an acquisition or a sale, or investing in a property, or negotiating commercial contracts, protecting their IP, their data, or whether they're facing a potential dispute or a regulatory issue or an employment law need, we're here to service those needs. And it's a very relationship-driven approach. We take time to get to know our clients and we work in partnership with them. And as trainees in BSG, you will be given plenty of exposure to our clients and to the world in which they operate. So we help our clients navigate the complex world of law and business. We support their ambitions and work closely with them to deliver quick, uncomplicated solutions without the need for excessive legal jargon. So we're UK legal experts with global capability and expertise in core industry sectors. So we have departments of varying sizes. Our largest department is the real estate and the employment team. They're our biggest ones, and the smallest ones are our banking and finance team and the IP team. But our smaller departments still punch above their weight. And a measure of that is the rankings in which they hold in our legal directories, and the fact that we're regularly up against lawyers from other top 20 firms in those disciplines in the matters that we work on. As Rebecca mentioned, our teams are award-winning and lawyers led by lawyers recognised as leaders in their field. So business lawyers all have one goal, really, and that is to meet our clients' objectives. And the question at the forefront of our minds is always, right, what are our clients' objectives and how do we help them achieve those? And we've got really golden opportunities in BSG at IM because we do so much work across different fields to cross-sell our legal services because we have such breadth of expertise. And a business client rarely presents with just one problem. And we're really expert at teasing out the web of legal issues that they need help solving and finding the right expert within BSG to help them. Now, the next slide talks about our teams, where they're located, and which disciplines are located in which location. Now, it's important to know our teams work largely nationally. Many of our teams are quite location agnostic, and what that means is they draw resource from across the country on jobs as and where it's needed. They're agile and flexible in response to client need. Having said that, of course, it's useful to see where our teams are located, and as you would expect, we have specialist teams in all our major offices across the country. Only 6 offices currently recruit trainees, and that's Birmingham, a combination of Gatwick and Brighton, Leeds, London, Manchester and Sheffield. So what you do is you apply for an office, and as trainees in BSG, you'd rotate around the teams in those offices. They're smallish teams within each location, and so the beauty of that is that you'd be working as quite a tight-knit team. You get plenty of partner time and senior lawyer time. You get quality tasks, you get involved from the get-go. You'd probably be either the only one or one of a small number of trainees in your team, but you'd have access to a network of trainees within your office and also across BSG and IM generally. You get involved in business development, and the kind of support that you get from partners and supervisors, we think, is really key to ensuring that you trainees develop and feel at home from day one. So supervisors will have capacity check-ins with you. They'll have monthly one-to-ones with you and reviews, of course, as part of the SRA requirements, but we also take that role very seriously here because we want to make sure that we both attract and retain the very best of talent here at BSG. We provide regular feedback to trainees, so we'll tell you what's going really well, and we'll also tell you where you need to focus on to improve. We do expect people to come into offices, and we do think it's really important that people do get together to get to know each other, and to be able to create networks, support networks, listen to other lawyers who are more experienced, carry out their work, look for opportunities for learning and team building, and that sort of thing. We think that's really important in BSG. Anchor days exist with whole teams coming into the office. They're not always the same for each team, but it's great to be in when your team is in. There is flexibility. In BSG, we want people to be in at least 3 times a week. And each team in each location decides what's best for them rather than a mandate from only one location. So flexibility to work from home where it's needed, and flexibility to attend appointments and stuff like that is absolutely a feature of life here at IM and in BSG. Some days there'll be a business need to be in because you're meeting clients, or you're closing a deal, or you're preparing bundles, or you're doing something else which is business critical, and the need for you to be in the office is there. Obviously, some days you'll be working longer than others, and sometimes you'll be working well past 5 p.m. But law is not a 9-to-5 job, as you all know. I hope that's given you a bit of an oversight into BSG. I love these events because what it does is it allows our wonderful lawyers to tell you in person a little bit more about their wonderful work. And I've got the pleasure of passing you on to my colleague, Pete Maguire in commercial next. Pete, over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. I can't speak Luxembourgian or whatever it's called, but there you go. So good evening, everyone. I'm Pete. I'm a partner here in Owen Mitchell's commercial team. unlike Sarah, I didn't grow up abroad, but I grew up in God's own city of Liverpool. And I did a law degree at the University of Birmingham, followed by the old Law Society finals. So I am showing my age a touch here at the College of Law in Chester, and ended up staying in the Midlands. I have a slightly unusual background in that I started in private practice, then went and worked in industry, what we call in-house, for a long time, and then returned to private practice later in my career. So I trained and qualified at one of the legacy Birmingham firms, which is now Squire Patton Boggs. But I originally qualified and worked in real estate and non-contentious insolvency. I did a secondment for 6 months with a local brewery, actually, which made me think a lot about in-house roles, and I had an opportunity which excuse me, I took up to move in-house into the legal team at Compass Group PLC, which is the FTSE Top 40 group, when I was around 4 years qualified. That was initially to look after their property estate and insurance portfolio, but I gradually moved into providing advice on commercial contracts and risk management. After 12 years there, I moved back into private practice with the regional firm Wright Hassel. I became a partner there, and I stayed there for about 12 years before moving to Owen Mitchell last May. The work I do, and I think as Sarah alluded to earlier, my focus is on generally around business-to-business relationships and the drafting and negotiation of contracts. The key being to work with people to find solutions that work for both parties long term. We're not there to rupture relationships, we're there to help build them. Acting usually for suppliers and customers, mainly for suppliers, I would say, but that ranges from startup businesses up to blue chips across a number of sectors. And that includes manufacturing, which I'm the national head of, automotive, logistics and supply chain, IT and telecoms outsourcing, and even things like the defence sector. I am a little unusual in that I've got security clearance, which enables me to work on contracts where the ultimate end customer is the Ministry of Defence. That sounds very exciting. In practice, it isn't, I can assure you. It can be a little tedious, but there you go. I am very fortunate, I think, working for the commercial team here. It's a national team that gives us great strength and depth, a great ability to call on people to help and to bounce ideas off. I've lived in the Midlands on and off since graduating way back when. There are fantastic opportunities here and across the Midlands generally. But what I would say before I hand over to Martha, who's going to take you through her experience here. I've worked in a number of, as I mentioned, I've worked at a variety of firms and businesses. What I can say safely is that Owen Mitchell is the friendliest and most supportive and collegiate place that I've ever worked for. And the only regret I have is that I didn't move here sooner. Hope that gives you a flavour of the sort of things that I get involved with. And I'm going to hand you over now to Martha, who is a solicitor in our commercial team. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and thanks for joining us this evening. So just a bit of background on me. So I'm from Lincolnshire, went to Durham University, where I studied languages. So I did German and Russian there, went on a year abroad, and then decided I wanted to do law. So I started applying for training contracts. Before starting my training contract, I worked for a year as a paralegal in our commercial team and really enjoyed that, which probably explains why I've ended up working with our commercial team now. But during my training contract, I got the chance to work with our employment team and our planning and environmental team, which was really, really enjoyable and gave me sort of great breadth of experience as a trainee. And now I am a 1-year PQE, newly qualified solicitor in our commercial team, working alongside the national team, really. So that includes Pete, other partners and sort of people at all levels across the team. In terms of the work we do, as Pete would probably tell you, it's incredibly varied. No 2 days and no 2 contracts are the same, which keeps us on our toes and keeps it really interesting. Things I've done just today include looking at various legal research tasks related to consumers And this week, Pete and I have been looking at contract drafting tasks as well. And I think I would echo what Pete says is something that's really enjoyable in our work is trying to find solutions that work for the client, not just telling them, you know, this is a good contract, take it, trying to work out what they need and then drafting a contract around that so that it works for them. And then we can help them make sure it's legally compliant as well. In terms of the wider BSG team at IM, I would say applying to work here in BSG gives you the opportunity to work with a huge range of experts in different fields across the business. And it also gives you the opportunity to meet so many different people. As I mentioned, I've had the chance to work in 3 very different fields whilst I was training, employment planning and commercial. And I learned so many different things, not just from a technical point of view, but also learned different skills from different supervisors and different people I worked with in those areas. You'll probably get to try at least one area of law as a trainee that you didn't necessarily expect or wasn't the thing that was your number one choice. And actually, I think that's a really positive thing. Our BSG team has so many different areas that it enables you to have such a broad experience as a trainee. And kind of touched on this already, but I think a massive benefit of working in our BSG team is just the breadth of people that you get to meet. The people that I met during my training contract now have become people who refer me work and people who I can ask for their advice as well, even though we don't work together on a day-to-day basis anymore. So I'd say it's a really good opportunity to get that breadth of knowledge and people. And having mentioned that, I will now bring in Claire from our planning team, who's one of the people who supervised me as a trainee.
Thank you, Martha. And Martha was a wonderful trainee, so we were absolutely thrilled to have her, as we are thrilled to also have Sadia, who we'll come on to in a little bit, because she's currently our trainee in planning and environmental. So a little bit about me. I didn't go to university to study law. I went to university and I studied geology, and it was during that course that I started to realised that actually I really liked planning and environmental. So the course was actually really environmentally led, because we were looking at different types of mining and quarrying operations, but also how we could deliver those in a more sustainable way. And through that, there was a module that you looked at planning and environmental matters, as we started moving those operations to more sustainability and more sustainable ways of working. So it was through that I started getting really interested in environmental matters, environmental issues. So I decided then to convert, and I went to Birmingham University to do my conversion, and I went to Cardiff University to do my LPC. And the reason for that was Cardiff University was actually one of the only universities at the time, or one of the only LPC providers that did an environmental law module. I was adamant that that's what I wanted to do. And that was my passion, was to practice and be an environmental lawyer. And I was really lucky to then be given an opportunity to work at a really small, well, we called it bespoke, niche practice that dealt with renewable energy, so wind farms, like you can see in the picture, but also a lot of mines and minerals. We were dealing with a lot of, excuse me, waste operations, and how they navigated environmental issues. And that's where the passion started, and I continued ever since. So I have always been a planning and environmental lawyer, and as Pete said, I am very fortunate to have been given an opportunity to join Owen Mitchell. And I've been here for just over 6 years now, and it really is one of the best places that I have worked. It's a really collegiate and supportive and collaborative firm. And it really, really is or has been the pinnacle of my career to date. And I'm very fortunate because actually through all the experiences that I've had in planning and environmental, I now get to lead a team of exceptionally bright and talented lawyers in a variety of different planning and environmental matters. So the team do anything really that is planning and environmental related. So if you're looking to if you're a business operator who's looking to develop a housing estate, we will help and guide you through that process, often setting up the statutory agreements. So what we call Section 106 agreements, which will be those planning agreements to help you get planning permission. And that might be where you're looking at extra school provisions or GP practice provision, green travel plans, all those things that access to green space, if you've got public rights of way that need creating as part of that development, we will help and guide a client through that. We also deal with highways and public rights of way. We also deal with an awful lot of environmental matters, as you can imagine. So some of the environmental work that we've got on at the moment, we're advising various different councils in relation to the setting up and the creation of biodiversity sites and helping various wildlife trusts in the provision of environmental enhancement sites. We will also deal with renewable energy schemes. So we've got a number of renewable energy schemes as we try to meet our net zero targets. We also act for business operators, so taking on a number of challenges against the Environment Agency decision making, where we feel that there hasn't been the level of fairness that's applied. And some of the other matters that we've got at the moment are we're currently advising Bath Rugby on its new stadium that has a host of environmental issues to be considered, but also one of the massive things for Bath Rugby is that it is in the middle of a World Heritage Site. So having to do that stadium redevelopment in a very, very sympathetic way to make sure that we're preserving and enhancing the impact or preserving and enhancing the World Heritage Site and minimising the impact to that as much as possible. We also do some pro bono work, and one of our previous colleagues, or former colleagues, acted for the Takagama chimpanzee charity and helping set up some environmental safeguards for chimpanzees in Sierra Leone. So it's a real mixed bag of work and it's so rewarding. The team, as I say, are award-winning. We're on the Ends Power list, the Women of Planning Influence list. We've been nominated as the Times Best Law Firm for Planning. Both myself and another partner are Green Ambassadors in the Legal 500, and we recently won the Sustainability Team of the Year at the Manchester Law Awards. So we're a small but mighty team, and we do really great work at what can often feel like the sort of cutting edge of planning and environmental matters when the government are, say, for example, trying to deliver their 1.5 million homes, etc. So we really are at the cutting edge of legislative change and planning policy change. And even last week, we had a case that's really going to potentially change the way that we advise clients coming out in the Supreme Court. So it is a very, very fast-paced area of law. And that's it from me for the time being. I'm going to pass over to Sadia, my current trainee, who's doing some great work within the team.
Hi everyone, I'm Sadia. This is my first seat here at Owen Mitchell, and I'm in the Planning and Environment team. So just a little bit about my background. I'm from Blackburn originally, but I've moved here now to Manchester. I completed my undergraduate law degree at the University of Liverpool, and then shortly after I completed my SQE studies at the University of Law. Now, there's been a lot of different and varied tasks that I've been given in this current team that I've been really enjoying. However, something that I've been particularly enjoying and getting to grips with is sometimes dealing with new inquiries. So sometimes when a potential new planning or environmental instruction comes through to the team, I'll be tasked with giving the caller a call back to get further details to pass on to the rest of my team. And this has been really great for me to get a flavour of the different kind of nuance and complex instructions that my team deals with. And it also allows me to think about the next steps involved. Additionally, sometimes I've also been tasked with thinking of an initial fee quote for some of these instructions with reference to our team's pricing strategy. So this task has really allowed me to think more broadly about how my team deals with the cost of certain instructions and the finance side of things. So that's been really great. A little bit about the reason why I chose BSG at Irwin Mitchell is mainly due to a mixture of experiences. So prior to starting my training contract here at Irwin Mitchell, I paralegaled within medical negligence elsewhere at a different firm. Whilst I really enjoyed it, I found quite quickly that a training contract at Irwin Mitchell within the business services group would be a lot more suited to me. And this is really great because it means that I can choose from a wide breadth of different business service groups at Irwin Mitchell in terms of seat choices that would really complement each other and help me build core skills across my training contract. I'll now pass over to Sarah and James from employment.
Thank you and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So my name is Sarah Ellison. I'm an associate in the employment team and I'm currently based in Sheffield, but do often travel across to Leeds as well. So my journey into law is slightly different from the others you've heard from today. So originally I'm from a little town in the northwest of the town of Rochdale. I moved to Sheffield to study law and I did this at Sheffield Hallam University. Once I had completed my law degree, I realised that I wasn't sure which area of law I actually wanted to specialise into because there's obviously quite a number of different areas and I didn't quite feel that I'd found my passion. So I decided to get some work experience under my belt. It also helped to get a little bit of pay under my belt and ease some of that student debt. And I applied for a job at Irwin Mitchell on the legal helpline, which is a far bigger setup now than it was back then. So as a legal advisor, I got lots of exposure in advising on various different areas of law. I mean, it varied from family law, consumer, horse law, and employment law. And that's where I got my taste for employment law from, really. I then moved to a much smaller Sheffield firm, and they don't exist anymore. They were called Watson Easton, but they merged with a Doncaster firm, Taylor Bracewell. And whilst I was working as a paralegal, I decided to start my SILEX qualification. So I would study during my evenings and the weekends and qualified as a chartered legal executive. And then 4 years ago, I moved back to Irwin Mitchell to do the role that I'm doing now as an associate. In terms of the work that we do, I think the thing I love the most about working in employment law is the diversity of the work. So at present, I mainly act for company clients, employee clients. So my day can vary from day to day. So one day I can be giving just normal advisory support. So I could be advising my clients on how to manage sickness absences of their employees, or if they've had some employees who've been misbehaving, I might advise on how they can manage and deal with that misconduct. Or there might be issues around underperformance and we can be having discussions around how to deal with that capability with a view to improving it. Sometimes this can lead to having negotiations and discussions around settlement agreements, which involves exiting some of those employees. And then other days I can be asked to support with business decisions around restructuring or transferring of businesses when they're sold. One of my favourite parts of the work I do is actually the litigation, the advocacy. So I do enjoy being in the tribunal when we're defending claims on behalf of our clients. So, as I said, I am based in Sheffield, but whilst I'm based in Sheffield, I do work closely with our other teams across the country. And the benefit of being part of a large team with a national presence is it does allow you the opportunity to specialise in areas where you have a particular interest. And what I've been able to do since moving to Irwin Mitchell 4 years ago is develop my experience, my knowledge, and my specialism working in the further education sector. So I do quite a lot of work with colleges and sixth forms, and that brings in addition to understanding employment law, it brings in the complexities of also the education law and the rules and the guidance around that. I've also undertaken much more litigation and advocacy since joining Irwin Mitchell, and that involves covering the advocacy not only on my own cases but also on those for others across the team. So that enables us to keep that work in-house rather than instructing counsel all the time, albeit we do use barristers for those longer, more complex cases. One of the other things I've really enjoyed about working at associate level is the ability to support and develop our junior solicitors and trainees and paralegals. So I do offer day-to-day support in terms of supervision. And I find it particularly rewarding being able to watch them grow, not only in confidence, but also in becoming really skilled lawyers, because we do have a really great input from our junior members within the team. What I would say about working in Sheffield is it has a great business community. There's always lots going on, and that gives you the option of being able to, or the opportunity to be able to get out and about and meet not only existing clients, but also other contacts. And often the ability to build new clients and contacts. But what I'll do now is I will pass you over to James, who can share a little bit more about working in our team.
Evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name's James. I'm a paralegal in the employment team, and I have been for the last 2 years since I graduated uni. I went to uni at the University of Sheffield, where I did a law degree with a year abroad. So I also did a year at the University of Tilburg in the Netherlands. I've been a paralegal in the Sheffield office for the last 2 years and transferred over to the Manchester office just this last week. What I really enjoy about the employment team is the litigation side of things. Like Sarah mentioned, a lot of the claims we see come through can be very colourful and interesting. And it can be very eye-opening to see the kind of things people do at work sometimes. The reason I chose BSG was largely because the modules that I enjoyed at uni better aligned with BSG, and because I've been in the BSG team for the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to work with a very varied range of clients of all different sizes, sectors, and needs. And a lot of people on the call have mentioned it already, but Irwin Mitchell really is a very friendly place to work, and that's why I chose to do my training contract here, which starts next summer. I have felt so welcomed here, and I've been able to grow a lot, and I'm really excited for the future to see where else I can go with Irwin Mitchell. And we're now passing over to Michelle and Ruben from the real estate transactions team.
Real estate transactional team. I'm also national head of the living sector. I qualified circa 20 years ago. I studied law at Huddersfield. I joined Irwin Mitchell in 2019. Prior to that, I was at Pinsent Masons for 14 years. I live near Leeds, and I always have. So as mentioned, I'm part of the real estate transactional northern team. Our team is split across offices in Leeds, Manchester and Sheffield. We sit within the wider real estate team, working alongside real estate disputes, construction and planning and environment. You've just heard from Claire, and there's circa 150 of us nationally. In terms of the work that I do, I've got a really varied background, and I've kind of acted within all sectors throughout my career. I'm a development specialist lawyer, and as a real estate lawyer, as a development specialist, you're not just working on conveyancing matters. You essentially do deals, you find solutions to bring stakeholders together. You're not just acting for a buyer and a seller. You've got investors to take into account. You've got bank funding to take into account, ultimate occupiers, local authorities, etc. So our deals can be quite complicated, and you have many stakeholders to take into account. The majority of the work that I tend to do now involves beds, beds that you sleep in one way, shape or form. As mentioned, I head up the firm's living sector. Living sector covers, within that, we cover things like residential development, acting for major house builders. We act for investors, we act for funders. It also covers things like student accommodation. Again, acting for developers and investors. We act for some international investors in that regard. It also covers things like buy to rent and PRS, so the rental living sector, and later living and care. We act for a broad range of clients. So I mentioned PLC house builders, developers, investors, landowners, banks and funders. So again, just it is really varied. In terms of why I like working with the team and the location, so we have a team that works really closely together. We pool on our resources across Leeds, Manchester and Sheffield, and we work closely with our national specialist teams. Development deals involve input from, for example, planning and environment, you've just had Claire on, and also our construction team. So we work collaboratively. We're a friendly bunch. And whilst I've worked on some really, really high profile deals throughout my career, I've always been able to do this from my location based in Leeds, which has always been my hometown. So now I'm going to pass you to Ruben, who's doing a fantastic job in our team as our newest trainee.
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Ruben and I started here at Owen Mitchell this August in the newest trainee cohort. So a bit about me before Owen Mitchell. I grew up near York, which is half an hour from Leeds, so I've always been local to the area. I went to school in Selby and then I went to uni up in Newcastle, but at Northumbria. I graduated there in 2024, having done the law degree, and then got the training contract offer the day after my grad, which was very nice. And then started, this August. So in terms of where I sit, I'm with the real estate transaction team here in Leeds, but I tend to get work from everywhere. So I've had stuff with people I've met now in Sheffield and stuff that I've had from people I've met in Manchester, which has been nice, especially because you get the work from them. And then there's also, so far I've been to 2 events where I've actually got to meet people in person as well, which is really quite nice. And then in terms of the actual tasks themselves that I've been given, I do a lot of drafting and a lot of research at the moment. So that's anything from forms that need to accompany applications to the land registry, or producing lease reports on what we've created or what other parties have created. And then in terms of the research I've been doing, it's quite niche, which is quite fun. It's not necessarily what you'd find on your degree. So for example, the most recent bit I've been doing is proprietorship with charities and official custodians. So that's something that I've never been exposed to, which was quite fun. So having to start there from the beginning. And then in terms of my route into Owen Mitchell and why the BSG in particular, similar to what's been said before, I knew BSG was always the route I wanted because of the uni modules I did. So I always, with the optional modules, went down the BSG route. I found myself doing property issues in practice and company law for anyone who's there at Northumbria, which I really enjoyed. So BSG was always the route I was going to take. But then in terms of Owen Mitchell, I knew that they had the office in Leeds, and I knew that Leeds is where I wanted to come back to because it's a little bit bigger than where I live at the moment, and it's where I'm hoping to move into. And then I found that when I started the application process, everyone that I met, no matter the job title or the status, was so genuine in terms of they actually wanted, they cared about what you had to say, and it really felt like a connection was made with everyone that I spoke to, which I felt was quite rare in a lot of generic application processes nowadays. So that really sort of drew me in and made me want to, that made this the place I wanted to be. And I was lucky that I'm now here. So I'm now going to pass you over to the regulatory and compliance group.
Hi, everybody. My name's Colette Kelly. I'm a partner in our regulatory and compliance, or regulatory and criminal group, as we're sometimes called. I'm based in London, but we do have offices all over the country, but primarily it's London and Sheffield. So my route to a career in law started at the University of Manchester, where I studied for a degree in law. And then after that, I went to the College of Law in York. I trained with a firm in Oxford, which was a mixed aspect of training, but wanted to focus on litigation and criminal law, and then moved to a firm in London where I did quite a lot of work at police stations and magistrates' courts and earned my stripes as an advocate. I've been at Owen Mitchell now for 2 years, and working within the team, I act primarily for individuals who are the subject of investigations and proceedings by the police, the Serious Fraud Office, the FCA, Trading Standards, Companies House. And it can involve representing clients at interviews, and after that making representations as to why they should not be charged or face proceedings by their regulators. And the work that I do focuses on white collar and business crime, proceeds of crime, and it very much focuses on crisis and reputation management, both from a personal and a business perspective. We get work from internal referrals, so from colleagues across other business services in Owen Mitchell, but also from external referrals, so other solicitors and barristers. We do quite a lot of high profile work, but sometimes it's of quite a sensitive nature. Others in the team focused on some professional disciplinary work, so that may involve the General Medical Council, the Nursing and Midwifery Council, the Teaching Regulatory Authority, sports regulators. Philip Samarakis, who heads the national regulatory team, focuses on gambling work, working for gambling operators. We do licensing work, so that can be liquor licenses for premises and restaurants. And we have a very large and successful motoring practice, and also dealing with DVLA medical appeals. I really enjoy working in the London office. We have a new office here, which we moved into in June, and it's a terrific location. It's a very good collaborative space to work in. And as far as our team is concerned, we have, I think, great harmony and communication within our team. And just to emphasize what others have said in this call, that it's very much a collegiate atmosphere. We currently don't have any trainees in our team because the 2 trainees we had have qualified most recently. And one of those who's recently qualified is Laura Singleton, who I'm going to pass you over to. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura. So as Colette said, I just qualified into the team a couple of months ago as a solicitor. Bit about me, my route. I took actually a bit of a while to become a trainee. So I went to uni, the University of Sussex. I studied law, and then I originally did the bar. So I did that for a year in London, and then I moved back home. I'm originally from Jersey, and I paralegaled in banking and finance law, on and off for a couple years. It's actually funny now hearing some of the other teams in BSG. They instruct the firm I used to work at because it's all offshore work. So if a company is registered in Jersey, you have to have a legal opinion, etc. from Jersey. So I did that for a couple of years, and then moved to London and paralegaled at a different firm for 4 years, doing inquests and public inquiry work. And really enjoyed it and liked particularly the inquest work, which sort of feeds into when I eventually applied here. And I applied here largely to do with the seat choices. I did really want regulatory and crime, so thankfully that's all worked out and I got the job. But I did sort of a varied training contract, and I don't know if you know, but quite often at this firm you do a repeat seat in your training contract. So I've actually been in the team now for over a year. Regulatory and crime was my third seat, ultimately my fourth and qualifying seat. So have been here a while, very much feel like part of the team. As Colette said, the work is quite varied. We do, I predominantly do a lot of criminal work, criminal defence work, acting for individuals. We also do white collar crime, so fraud, various investigations, but predominantly at the moment I'm doing a lot of criminal defence work. And what's been quite good is you obviously during your training contract you're essentially learning, you shadow partners a lot. I shadowed actually Colette a couple of times in police station interviews, and you go to court quite a lot. And then once I'm qualified, I've essentially been set on my way. So I've been doing my own police station interviews, have done a couple hearings in court, have one on Friday. So I'm sort of earning my stripes, getting advocacy experience and starting to run a lot of cases on my own. And we also work, RCG, work a lot with other teams in BSG, so we get a lot of cross referrals, but also across the firm, we work with private client quite a lot. And in your training contract, you sort of build networks. Obviously, you will be part of a cohort. There is trainees across the firm, and you build those relationships. And actually, once you're qualified, you start getting work that way, which is quite nice. But yeah, I think that's it from me. I think next up is Sam and Adam from restructuring and insolvency.
Hi everyone. I'm Sam Taylor, and I am a solicitor in our restructuring and insolvency team in London. Bit of background for me: I studied law at Bournemouth University. After graduating, I gained experience in debt recovery, working in regional law firms before relocating to London in 2018, where I joined Owen Mitchell. So I've been here for 7 years, and I joined as a paralegal in the restructuring and insolvency team. Initially, I must admit, I hadn't probably considered applying for a training contract. However, having been in the team for a couple of years, I decided to pursue that path and was successful in securing a training contract with Mitchell in the London office. During my training contract, I completed seats in corporate banking and restructuring insolvency, so all our BSG seats. In terms of my sort of practice or the practice within the team, it's split between contentious and non-contentious work. Our non-contentious work is related to sort of distressed companies and trying to either recover the companies or at least make a distribution to creditors. However, I predominantly focus on contentious work that involves advising clients on the merits of their prospective claims, drafting legal documents they do respect, such as application notices and witness statements, dealing with pre-action correspondence and disclosure of evidence, strategizing each case, including the assessment, or should I say, including assessing the opponent's claim and or defence, which is obviously a key part to our role as representing our clients. In terms of what I like about working in our team, I've enjoyed working with the team. It's changed over the years since I've been here, but it's always been a collaborative team where we support each other and we share a strong commitment to delivering high quality work. That sort of mixture of expertise is sort of a great environment to sort of grow professionally for me, and I'm sure Adam will say the same. In terms of why I chose the London office to work at, we do quite a lot of complex cross-border litigation. So, for example, we have matters sort of dealing with jurisdictions in Hong Kong and Costa Rica. So it's really interesting work and very challenging. London itself as well is a sort of a great market, and there's lots of opportunities to assist the team with client relationships and business development meetings. And sort of our team is very, very good in allowing us as junior members of the team to sort of start and build our own professional relationships. So it's really a really good team, and we also work nationally. So we have offices in Sheffield, Leeds, Gatwick, Brighton, and a few other offices. So we very much, whilst we work within our sort of offices, we very much are a national team. But yeah, that's all for me. I'll pass you over to Adam.
Sam. Hi everyone, my name is Adam Bosher and I'm an NQ solicitor in the restructuring insolvency team based in London. So a bit about me, I studied law at Brunel University in London. And during I did a 4-year course and 1 year in industry where I worked for the Home Office as a litigation caseworker. Following my undergraduate degree, I went on to do my LPC and Masters at the University of Law in Guildford. So in terms of my journey so far in R&I and my training contract, I qualified in August of this year. So what am I, 3 or 4 months PQE now. So during my training contract, I did seats in obviously R&I, corporate and banking and finance. So I really enjoyed that because they all really complement each other. So that really has put me in a good position for R&I, and you can build a good foundation of knowledge across the whole of BSG because a lot of the seats will complement each other, and hopefully you'll find an area that you want to qualify into, and you can use the experience you've gained in the other seats to really help you excel when you qualify as an NQ. So in terms of work I've done in R&I, obviously I did a seat. It was my first seat in R&I, then a repeat seat in R&I, and I've been in the team for a couple of months since qualified. So I've been in the team for over a year now. I've had the opportunity to get involved with a lot of interesting and fast-paced work. As Sam mentioned, we're lucky that we get a mixture of contentious and transactional matters. So it's very varied in terms of what you can get involved with. Could be, one day you're working on a transaction where you're selling the business and assets of a company that's gone into administration. The next day you could be helping out our contentious colleagues with, drafting letter before action for a claim against directors for breach of duty, for a company's gone into liquidation, or attending court hearings. So it's a really enjoyable area, very varied. Some examples that I've been involved with recently, we had a big pre-pack transaction where we sell a company, the business and assets of a company that's gone into administration, to realize the assets and then use those funds to repay creditors. So we had a big matter in summer, which involved a company in administration, which was based in the motor industry, which we sold to a US private equity fund. So that was really good fun. And then at the moment, just to show how varied it is, I'm in the middle of settlement negotiations on another matter, which has been quite intense with the other side involving a number of different parties, but it's been really good fun. So that's more on the sort of contentious side of things. Throughout all these matters, you really get the opportunity to work with other teams in BSG. We routinely work with our banking and finance colleagues and corporate colleagues, but also if we're working on a sale and purchase agreement, there's going to be data protection provisions in there, employment provisions, amongst other things, and we liaise with those teams as well. So you do really get the opportunity to work with everyone across BSG. So then, following on from this, and why I chose BSG is for that reason. I've really enjoyed how collaborative it is. I know it's already been mentioned on this call, but can't stress it enough how, as a full service firm, we really can work across all the different teams, and you get exposure to lots of different areas, which makes it really varied and really interesting. So yeah, for me, it's got to be how collaborative it is, and you get the real sense of teamwork working here. So that's everything from me, and I'll pass back to Rebecca now.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you everybody for sharing an insight into what you do here at Owen Mitchell and what your workload looks like, your typical tasks as a trainee. I'm sure everyone on the call tonight has learnt something, and I'm hoping they feel really inspired to go on to apply to us. And we're really looking forward to seeing some brilliant applications. With that in mind, the date on the screen is to have that you need to have in mind is the 1st of December, which is the deadline for applying for a training contract with us. So please make a note of that in your diary, and that is for training contracts starting in 2027. We do have a couple of 2026 vacancies left, which are on our website if you want to take a look at those, for those that might want to start a bit sooner. So I really hope you know, tonight has been what you wanted in terms of getting the information from BSG, and you know, we've covered a lot of ground, but I'm hoping that really aids your application and understanding of the work that IM does and how that might suit you in terms of your career as a trainee. So thank you everyone for joining. We do have a bit of time for some pre-submitted questions, so I've picked out a few that we can go over. I'm going to put people on the spot and hopefully bring you back on screen to answer. So the first one is I'm going to aim it at Sarah Birkbeck, if we can get her back on the screen. Thank you. Hi, Sarah. So one of the questions is around what seats are typically available to trainees. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to talk about how we look at demand in terms of trainee roles and how we rotate them through the business.
Yes, thanks, Rebecca. Really happy to take that question. It's a great question. So we place our trainees where there's the most business need within BSG. And the reason why we do that is because we want our trainees to be busy. We want them to get a really, really good experience. And I mentioned it before when I was talking, but actually some of our teams are quite big. Some of them are quite small. And the markets within which we operate are very dependent on what's happening out there in the big wide world. So very dependent on the economy, on politics, geopolitics. And so quite often some of our departments will be very, very busy. Other departments may be a bit quieter. And that will roll depending on what is going on out there in the big wide world. Out of the departments that I talked about and that we had up on the screen, there are actually 14 departments in BSG. 13 of those do take trainees. And at the minute, we have 30 trainees, 30 trainees in the whole of BSG. So it is likely that you will have opportunities to work in seats which are complementary to each other, because as we said, the skills that you use in one part of BSG are very often valid in another part as well, and you will get a very broad experience. But yes, we place people where the work is, and you'll get a great training contract opportunity here.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I think that approach definitely makes sense. You want to be busy, you want to be learning, you want to be being useful for our clients. So thanks for sharing that, Sarah. Next up, I'm going to bring Pete back on, hopefully.
Oh, hello, put me on the spot. Go on.
I know, sorry.
Okay.
It's an IP question, which
okay.
I think you have touched on a bit in your bit earlier. But
yeah.
What the specific question is, what kind of work does the IP team do? Is it mostly formalities and renewals, or is it more M&A work? And does Owen Mitchell do work for different kinds of IP rights or just trademarks?
Okay, so yes is the answer to all of that. So we have a specialist IP team, which is sort of an adjunct to, I don't know if they'd like me using that word, but they're an adjunct to our commercial team. It's headed by a lady called Georgie Collins, who is absolutely brilliant at what she does. It is a variety of contentious work, so where there are IP disputes, but also non-contentious stuff, so advising around brand opportunities, how you can strengthen your brand, that sort of thing. So it's very much it's not just a sort of a sideline to M&A work. Far from it. It's a standalone area of business that we are very, very proud of. Georgie's fantastic at it. So and it covers any type of IP. She's far better versed in that than I am, obviously. But yeah, it will cover everything from trademarks, domains, copyright, registered designs, you name it, they do it. But it also particularly focuses on brand protection and advisory in that space. So hopefully that answers the question. But if somebody would like me to expand further, happy to do so.
Brilliant. Thanks, Pete. No, I think that answers it really well. And yeah, it sounds like a pretty interesting team to work in, that's for sure. So thank you. I'm going to bring on Colette next, if that's okay.
Hi. Yes.
Hello. Hi, Colette. So there's a question around kind of cross collaboration and working together. And I know you spoke about receiving referrals from other BSG teams. So maybe you could probably, have a go at bringing that to life for us in terms of an example and how that works, in a day-to-day, with a day-to-day example, if that's okay.
Of course. So one recent example was working with the IP team, that there was a referral that came to me from somebody who used to work at IM, and they work for a large international company. And there had been somebody who had contacted that company demanding that they sponsor an event, and the demands became less of a business nature and more of a threatening nature. And so there were two aspects to this. There was, how would you get the police involved? And then secondly, how would you go about getting an emergency injunction? So I was able to give advice in relation to the criminal side of this. And then Georgie was able to provide advice in relation to getting an emergency injunction. It's often what's going to be the best solution for the client, which is going to give them what they are trying to achieve, what's their objective, but also having an understanding of what the cost position is for the client. So that's a recent example about collaboration.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. That sounds very interesting situation.
Yes, it is for sure.
Yeah. Fab. Thank you, Colette.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca.
So Sarah Birkbeck, I'm just going to bring you on for one final question, if that's okay, and then we can end there. So and please feel free to bring anyone else in if you need to. But what are Win Mitchell, specifically BSG's aims for the next year? Any growth areas, any expansions?
Yeah, really happy again, a great question. Happy to answer that one as best as I can, and I might also bring a couple of other people as well. Yeah, we are very ambitious in BSG. We're in growth mode. We are currently, as I think you mentioned earlier, Rebecca, a £60 million business. We aim to be a £65 million business over the next 3 years. So we are in growth mode. It's a really exciting time to be in BSG. We've got, we're recruiting. We keep adding new people into our fold. We are ambitious, but we're realistic as well. And we're really proud of the fact, actually, that we promote a lot of people internally as well, and that we're able to develop our people internally. And we have many people here in BSG who started off with us as trainees and have moved up through the ranks right into partnership. It's probably worth my while bringing in a couple of the, we've got some heads of departments. So maybe if Claire is still on, or one of the other heads of might like to just comment in particular in relation to their areas. Claire.
Hi, yeah. So I head up the planning and environmental team. As I said before, I've been here for 6 years, but when I first started, actually it was a relatively small team. We only had about 5 or 6 people, and in that time we've grown to 15 of us with the trainee, and we also work really closely with WJM, which is our Scottish sister firm, because they have a planning and environmental team there. And I think with them, that takes us to about 20. Obviously, I'm not head of their team, but working very closely and collaboratively with them. And we are looking to grow. So we've got some exciting new proposals and propositions coming to market. Sorry for my cough. Coming to market in the next few months, but we've also got new joiners joining us. And again, it's a really, really exciting time because obviously the government is constantly changing in terms of its planning and environmental policies, which, whilst it's uncertain for our clients, it also enables us to be on hand for our clients. So in terms of the growth of services, we're always adapting and changing the way that we do things, but also the law is constantly evolving, and we're part of that evolution of planning and environmental. It also means that through that growth, we need to take on different people and new people that might have different skill sets. So currently looking at somebody who has got more compulsory purchase experience, because that's or someone who has more national significant infrastructure projects type experience, where we can see that we've got those gaps in our service level. But equally, we couldn't have done this without the support of the exec board at Owen Mitchell. They have been phenomenal about helping us, shape our careers. And really, I can't begin to tell you how amazing the growth of my team has been, and the support and recognition that we have had. It has been truly amazing, and to work with such brilliant clients and colleagues. You've heard from some phenomenal people on this call today. It really has been a highlight. So that just gives you some sort of ideas of where my transition has come from over the last 6 years, and sort of the growth that we're on as well. And I form part of the real estate team. So Michelle Beaumont is one of my colleagues in the Leeds office. She's been also instrumental in helping shape the real estate team, but also the Leeds office. I forgot to mention earlier that I'm actually part of the Manchester office. So whilst I head up a team that has people in Liverpool, Manchester, Sheffield, Birmingham, London, Crawley, Chichester, I'm very much part of the Manchester family. And the Manchester BSG team has, again, really grown over the last few years, especially seeing the size of the employment team. Corporate is growing, real estate has grown, real estate disputes. It really is an exciting time to be part of the BSG family in the Manchester office. I say that, all the BSG offices are phenomenal. So I don't want anyone on this call to be upset that I'm sort of heavily promoting Manchester, but it really is the greatest.
Thanks, Claire. Yeah, look, I think that is a nice note to end on, in the sense of BSG is a brilliant place to start your legal journey, and the training contract itself, the way it's designed for you to rotate round, to experience the very best, the very busiest, and really get stuck in, so that when it comes to qualification, you can really hit the ground running. So I'm hoping you leave this call tonight really inspired, really motivated, and really interested in applying to us. I'm sure everyone on this call will be happy to connect on LinkedIn. If you'd like to follow up with that in that way, we're very happy to do that. But I think we've kind of gone through most of the pre-submitted questions, so thank you everyone that did that, and thank you everybody on the call tonight for joining. And yeah, we very much hope to see an application from you all soon. Thank you.